All right, Gastelum is going to fill in for Paulo Costa. Gastelum's going to fight Whitaker. It makes all the sense in the world. It really does. They've got a history there. Kelvin asked for the fight. He's back on track. Boom. Let's get this one figured out that we were promised almost 2 years ago, but it does make you take a closer look at 185. What Adesanya wants to do is got to be paramount to your strategy if you're a fellow middleweight. Any champion that calls for a fight generally gets it. Champions don't call people out. Champions get called out. Off the top of my head, when I think of a champion calling for a fight, and don't forget, this is on the heels of Kamaru Usman getting the fight that he just called for. So we've got really good evidence that where the champ wants to go, the champ generally goes, particularly in Adesanya's case, who fought and defended a belt against Yoel Romero, who was not the number one contender. I mean, I just bring for you what Adesanya wants to do has got to be a factor when you sit down with your team and come up with your strategy for how you're going to get a title fight. Great. Because you've got some really interesting options right now. Vettori versus Till comes to mind. Till being the leader of all the middleweights because Adesanya wants Till. Adesanya does not like Till, has not liked him for a period of time. Till spent a good amount of effort getting under Adesanya's skin, and congratulations, it worked. He's there. Now, if you look at the Till Vettori fight, I don't know that that's the one that's going to jump off the chart for you as identifying the next number one contender, but those things change very quickly. Snap of a finger, right? Very, very quickly. And it seems as though we've got three big main events to look forward to that are middleweights that are on display. Of course, you got the Gastelum versus Whitaker. Of course, you've got the Till versus Vettori. The one I think that you're missing is Brunson specifically versus Holland. Kevin Holland will come in and steal everything from you if you're a middleweight and you're not factoring him into the equation. This is a guy who was nowhere 1 year ago and is now a main event. There's no other middleweight with that kind of trajectory, right? If he does what he did last year to this year, if he does that one more time, yes, he's fighting for the championship. If he does 70% of what he did in the last 12 months, he's fighting for a championship. But Holland seems to be the one guy that fellow middleweights are dismissing, at least for the time being. And I don't mean physical. I don't mean that they don't respect that Holland can fight. I think that they're missing the phenomenon that is Kevin Holland as it pertains to the fan and as it pertains to the media. And what Kevin Holland has done for himself as an undercard, what Kevin Holland has done for himself as a main card, I'm predicting for you is going to be exemplified when he's a main event. Now, Adesanya knows who Holland is, and Adesanya is dismissing Holland. Hey, don't even bring him up. He has not done enough to even be in the conversation. I could name 5 guys in front of Kevin Holland. That's not helpful. Not when you know one piece that you must have is the blessing of Adesanya. However, it also cannot be taken at face value. Adesanya saying don't bring Holland up cannot be taken at face value. If Adesanya is addressing Holland, even if his goal is to dismiss him because he dislikes him so much, and I mean Adesanya of Holland, Adesanya dislikes him so much that he doesn't want to help to get his name out there and get him any kind of rub, it's still relevant that Adesanya is paying attention. You have to have Izzy's attention. Izzy does not go base his fights on who the easy fights are. I mean, this is a guy that was just chasing John Jones. This is a guy that just got out of the cage with Jan Blachowicz. Izzy is not looking for easy fights. We all get that. We all understand that. But he is looking for personal grudges, of which I don't know that he has at 185. There seems to be some kind of a friction with he and Till. I got that. Till is not guaranteed to be the victor, which would eliminate Till from discussion. He is not guaranteed to be the victor over Vettori. That's a tough night out. Now, I understand the same is true for Holland versus Brunson. As a matter of fact, Brunson is a plus 285, which means he's almost a 3-1 favorite to beat Holland. That shocks me. That is a shockingly wide gap to have over a guy who has momentum on his side. Kevin Holland, who fought 5 times last year. A lot of people don't know this. He did a lot of his finest work on the undercards, but he fought 5 times in one calendar year. Oh, by the way, he won them all, including a first-round finish of Jacare. You ever beat Jacare, let alone finish Jacare? You were fighting for a championship, but there was something about that where Holland got a nice little bump. He got all the way to a main event against Brunson. Great backstory on how this fight came about. Brunson said something actually complimentary to Holland, sent it to him like on a DM on social media. And it was actually nice. But Holland took it the wrong way. And that's according to Holland. Holland even says, I think he was trying to be nice. I've elected to spin his words and use it as motivation. Okay, good enough. I don't know this Kevin Holland well enough to know what fully makes him tick. I've had 2 interactions with Kevin Holland. Once I had him on this show, and another time I had to deal with him privately on a phone call about a Submission Underground match, a short notice match against Rumble Johnson. Rumble, who, by the way, was going about 240 at the time. Kevin Holland, who had fought 48 hours earlier at 185. And the mere fact that Holland did not flinch, I respected it. Oh, by the way, you want to know who else did? Rumble. Because that fight was on for about 24 hours. For about 24 hours, that was the fight that was going to happen. So I had already talked to Rumble, filled him in that Holland took it. And Rumble's like, man, I love this guy. Who is this guy? I love this guy. I'm going to have to go beat him, but I like his attitude. I'm only sharing that with you because when you're getting a compliment from the guys in the industry, not to mention Rumble, who happens to be in a tournament for a world championship right now, not to mention Rumble has fought for world championships multiple times in the past. I mean, that's a big blessing to a guy that's on an undercard. And I only share with you how much can Holland do if he has a victory over Brunson. It's unknown. We don't know. We know that history tends to repeat itself. We use history as the greatest trajectory for the future. But I feel as though fellow 185-pounders are missing the mark here. The biggest fight in terms of X's and O's, what's going to be the hardest, iron on iron, I don't feel is overly close. I feel that goes to Whitaker and Gastelum. That is just going to be a get the stretchers ready. Get the sutures ready. Get the ice bags ready. These guys are going to be in pain at the end of this match. Vettori versus Till is a little bit of a question. Vettori has done everything right. Vittori's going to get in Till's face. Till does a good job with space. And then you have Brunson versus Holland. Holland, who was so proud of the black belt he just received. And Brunson, who was a very excellent wrestler, not just a very good wrestler. I got to go further. Brunson had it was a very impressive amateur wrestling career. I mean, these things start to cancel each other out, and getting the mandate of the masses and getting a push from the media, particularly if you want to get under Adesanya's skin, you got to have some platform to do it. Holland with a victory. I think you were very unwise to not shifting some of your cannons in that direction. Nobody knew who this guy was a year ago, and now he is headlining a card. I only offer for you, if he can do as much with what he has to work with as he did in the last 12 months, you got a big freaking problem on your hands. And if you're strategizing at middleweight and you think that you've identified the players, that's your first mistake.